Something's stirring in Atlanta. It's not loud, not the kind of thing you catch in a highlight reel or a press conference. It's quieter than that, deeper than that. It's the kind of shift that happens behind locker room doors, in the way players look at each other before a game, with belief instead of doubt. After a turbulent start to the season, the Atlanta Falcons suddenly feel different. There's a pulse again, momentum, confidence, and something that almost feels like destiny creeping back into the building. But at the center of this quiet storm isn't a quarterback, or a flashy rookie lighting up the stat sheet. It's a man whose work rarely makes the headlines, yet his fingerprints are on everything this team has become. His name is Kaden Ellis, the linebacker who's turning grit into leadership, and leadership into results. A few weeks ago, this team was searching for its identity. A sluggish offense. A defense that couldn't finish drives. And then, something clicked. Coming out of their bye week, Atlanta didn't just beat Washington, they announced themselves. A 34-27 statement win that wasn't about luck or a few lucky plays. It was about balance. It was about control. It was the first time this season where the Falcons looked like a team that believed in who they were. On offense, the transformation was electric. After struggling to find the end zone early in the year, Atlanta exploded 4 red zone touchdowns after managing only 2 in their first 3 games combined. 435 total yards. A rhythm that finally felt sustainable. Every drive had purpose. Every snap had belief behind it. But if you really want to understand what's changing in Atlanta, you have to look at the defense. The Falcons' defense didn't just show up, they took over. They swarmed, disrupted, frustrated, and punished Washington at every turn. 6 quarterback hits. 4 tackles for loss. 3 pass breakups. 2 sacks. 1 pivotal interception that sealed the tone of the afternoon. And in the middle of that chaos stood Kaden Ellis, the unshakable core holding it all together. Since arriving from New Orleans in 2023, Ellis has quietly become the Falcons' backbone. He's not loud. He's not flashy. But he's everywhere, reading plays before they unfold, setting the tone for a defense that finally looks alive. While the offseason headlines were dominated by splashy names and bold moves, it's Ellis who's been the team's heartbeat. Now, in the final year of his 3-year, $21.5 million deal, the 30-year-old linebacker is playing the best football of his life. And what makes it even more compelling? His future in Atlanta isn't guaranteed. So as the Falcons chase their resurgence, one question looms large: can they afford to let go of the man who might be holding the entire foundation together? Numbers can tell you a story, but sometimes, they don't tell the whole one. Yes, Kaden Ellis led the team with 151 tackles last season. Yes, he logged 16 quarterback hits in 2024, and somehow, he's already on pace to beat that mark again this year. And yes, his sack total continues to climb. But what makes Ellis truly special isn't just what he's doing, it's how he's doing it. He's producing more with less. This Falcons defense, once buried near the bottom of the league, has reinvented itself. A year ago, they ranked 31st in third down defense, a unit that couldn't get off the field when it mattered most. Now, they've stormed all the way to 6th. That's not just improvement, that's transformation. And that transformation means Ellis is playing fewer snaps, but delivering greater impact. Last season, he averaged over 64 snaps per game. This year, it's closer to 55. That's the equivalent of nearly 3 full games' worth of lost opportunities over the course of a season. And yet, his production hasn't dropped, it's sharpened. Every hit, every tackle, every blitz carries weight. He's not chasing plays anymore, he's anticipating them. That's the mark of a leader, not just a linebacker. When you watch Ellis on film, you don't just see a player flying around the field, you see a stabilizer. He reads offenses like a book, calls out shifts before they happen, adjusts coverages, and somehow still finds himself in the middle of every collision. He's the kind of presence that doesn't just fill gaps, he closes them for everyone around him. But here's the dilemma. Players like Kaden Ellis don't come around often. And when they do, teams usually realize it too late. He's the type of player that organizations regret letting slip through their fingers, the quiet cornerstone who holds a defense together long after the cameras stop rolling. And for Atlanta, the stakes are even higher. Without him, the alternatives aren't reassuring. Leonard Floyd and David Onyemata, proven veterans, are nearing the twilight of their careers and could depart unless they accept pay cuts. Arnold Ebiketie, once viewed as a rising star, still hasn't taken that next leap. And while Kyle Pitts may be a franchise tag priority on the offensive side, his future doesn't solve the defensive problem looming over this team. If Ellis hits free agency, the market will be merciless. Teams with cap space and linebacker needs will circle like hawks, ready to offer $15 million a year or more, double his current value. And once the door opens, it's nearly impossible to close. That's why the Falcons can't afford to wait. If they're serious about building something lasting, the move is simple: lock him in now. A 3-year deal worth around $50 million, with $30 million guaranteed, might sound hefty on paper, but for a player who's quietly become the soul of this defense, it's not a luxury. It's a necessity. Because momentum is fragile. And if the Falcons truly believe this season marks a turning point, they'll need to make sure the man holding the defense together doesn't become just another what if in Atlanta's long list of missed opportunities. For the first time in years, the Atlanta Falcons aren't chasing relevance, they're earning it. There's a new pulse in this team, something real taking shape, a balance between raw talent and newfound discipline. The offense, once a mystery, has found its anchor in Bijan Robinson, a rising superstar whose blend of speed, grace, and grit makes every carry feel like a spark waiting to ignite. He's the kind of player who doesn't just gain yards, he changes the energy in a stadium. But as dazzling as Robinson's plays can be, the soul of this resurgence lies on the other side of the ball, in a defense that's gone from an afterthought to one of the league's most respected units. That kind of transformation doesn't happen by accident. It happens because of players like Kaden Ellis. As the Falcons prepare for what could be the defining stretch of their season, their defense is no longer a weak link, it's a weapon. And right in the middle of it all stands Ellis, the quiet force commanding respect with every snap. His value isn't captured in the stat sheet, it's in the tone he sets. When he steps onto the field, everything tightens. The communication sharpens. The energy changes. He's not just making plays, he's shaping how everyone else around him performs. Kaden Ellis is the kind of player who turns chaos into order. He reads the offense like a second language, closing gaps before they exist, calling out formations before they unfold. And that calm, commanding presence has rippled through the entire defense. The Falcons' rise isn't just a product of better schemes or clever coaching adjustments, it's cultural. It's the mentality Ellis embodies: resilience, awareness, and absolute accountability. Under his leadership, the defense has learned to finish. They're getting off the field on third downs. They're forcing mistakes. They're setting the tone, not reacting to it. The front seven plays faster, hungrier, more connected, because they trust the man in the middle to hold the line. Kaden Ellis may never be the most talked about name on sports talk radio. He won't fill highlight reels with one-handed interceptions or viral celebrations. But every successful team has one, that player whose consistency, toughness, and intelligence form the backbone of everything else. For the Falcons, that player is Ellis. He's not just a piece of their defense, he is their identity. And as Atlanta stares down a defining moment in their season, the question isn't whether they can afford to keep him. It's whether they can afford to lose what he represents, the heartbeat of a team rediscovering who it really is: execution. That's the word that defines this new version of the Atlanta Falcons, and at the center of it all is Kaden Ellis, the engine behind the transformation. He's adapted to every shift, every wrinkle, every challenge the coaching staff has thrown at him, and somehow, he's made it look effortless. Whether it's filling gaps in run defense, dropping back to shadow tight ends and slot receivers, or timing the perfect blitz off the edge, Ellis isn't just playing a role. He's mastering it. Every defensive snap feels like an extension of his preparation, controlled, deliberate, and driven by instinct born from thousands of unseen hours in the film room. He's the kind of player who studies not just tendencies, but tells the subtle body language of quarterbacks, the lean of a lineman before the snap, the half step that gives away a screen. That's why he's thriving, even as others his age begin to fade. At 30, most linebackers start thinking about how much they have left. Ellis is thinking about how much more he can do. And with a lighter snap count this season, thanks to the defense finally getting off the field more efficiently, his prime isn't slipping away. It's stretching longer. That's what makes the idea of a new deal not just smart, but strategic. Locking him down now means avoiding the chaos of a bidding war later, and it sends a clear, unmistakable message to the entire locker room: Atlanta rewards those who lead, who produce, and who set the standard. But beyond contracts and cap numbers, there's something deeper at stake here. Culture. Head coach Raheem Morris isn't just building a football team, he's building an identity. One defined by accountability, resilience, and belief. And to create that kind of culture, you need players who live it. Kaden Ellis is one of those players. He's the first to speak up when the energy dips. The first to take responsibility when things go wrong. And the one who leads not by words, but by relentless example. He's the veteran you build around, the cornerstone that reminds everyone what it means to wear red and black. As the Falcons prepare for their biggest test yet, a primetime clash against the Buffalo Bills, their focus will be on execution, precision, and poise. But behind the scenes, another battle is quietly being waged, the one for the future of this franchise's identity. Because if the Falcons truly believe this is their turning point, their rise from mediocrity to meaning, then keeping Kaden Ellis isn't just a football decision. It's a statement. A statement that says, leadership matters. Consistency matters. Commitment matters. And the players who embody those values? They belong in Atlanta.